Good afternoon. My name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla here in New Mexico, and this is your legislative update for today, which is July 3rd. It's a Sunday, and I really want to talk about a meeting I had on Friday at a committee called the Jobs Council, which is a group of legislators, state administrative folks, businesses, and union members who all come together and discuss the economic situation and what we can do specifically to create a better economic situation for New Mexico. A couple of interesting things about here. The first was actually a speech by the State Economic Development Secretary, John Barella, who is an appointee of Susana Martinez, who is a Republican, and he was very, very strongly in disagreement with Donald Trump, who he didn't mention by name, but kept mentioning the Republican presumptive nominee in terms of our relationships with Mexico. Basically said building a wall is the wrong approach to economic development, that there are stronger relationships with Mexico, make us stronger, and increase the amount of job potential both there and here. He said that in the past few years, there's actually more people that have moved to Mexico, both Mexican citizens returning and American citizens going down there to get jobs, than have returned the other way. So a lot of this paranoia about people coming and taking our jobs isn't really backed up by fact. And he basically said that that kind of mentality of putting up a wall, going into a trade war, stopping NAFTA, that sort of thing will hurt New Mexico. And I don't tend to agree with the governor's people on too many things, but I do agree 100% on this one. The other thing that we talked about at the meeting was efforts to create mostly rural jobs. This meeting was focusing on the north and northwest areas of the state, so lots of talk about solo work, which is people working out of their bedrooms doing contract work. And obviously one of the big issues there, especially in rural areas, is the lack of good broadband availability, which allows people to work from wherever. They also talked about tourism, retirement, and in the northern part of the state, how do they increase the amount of film work that they can do, not just in terms of production, but in post-production as well, which provides a lot more consistent and good work. I got to tell you, at some of these meetings, you actually get more done, though, like outside of the meetings in kind of sidebar conversations with other people than actually in the meetings themselves. And this meeting was definitely one of those things. So I had great conversations with a lady I know named Kathy Keith, who's a member of the Santa Fe Community College Board of Directors, about a project I'm working on to restructure the entire university administrative system and create 3 levels of regions, so one for the research universities, one for the regional universities, and one for the community colleges. And she had some great input on that. I'll go more into that in the future when we get some research back. I had a good conversation with the representative of the Association of Commerce and Industry. Once again, not a group that I generally tend to agree with on a lot of things, but he was interested in the tax reform work we're working on to broaden and flatten the tax system. And that was really positive, working for those issues. The last thing I want to, one thing is the border crossing in New Mexico was recently accepted into a federal program allowing us to expand the hours of the border crossing at Santa Teresa. We just need to find the funding for it now, and we're trying to do so through a combination of public and private sector entities. And if we can do this for a year and show that jobs are being created, more traffic is needed at the border, we can hopefully get the federal government to fund that, really increasing the amount of job potential at the border industrial park. Last thing I want to talk about is the topic of aid in dying. So this is when a terminally ill person, someone with cancer or whatever, is in pain, is going to die, and wants to request the help of a doctor in determining their own date of death. The Supreme Court of New Mexico, just this last week on Thursday night, said that that was not going to be a constitutionally approved right, and that the legislature would need to act on this. And as a legislator who's been through this with my father, I know how much easier it is to enjoy and really get the value out of the last years of a family member's life when you can figure out what the situation's going to be without that person being in pain and suffering. And I am working with some other people around the state, including some folks at NMSU, some lawyers in Santa Fe, and other interested parties in making this happen. And either I will be sponsoring this or really pushing it very hard in the state legislative session next year to make sure that all families have the right to figure this out. You know, if I've got, or if you've got a terminally ill diagnosis from your doctor, how you determine those end-of-life decisions is not the government's call. It's your call. And I believe very strongly in that, and we'll be working on that. So, as always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I would love to answer any questions or concerns you have. And also, July 4th is tomorrow. Happy Independence Day. Let's everyone be safe on the roads out there, all right? Thanks, y'all, and hope you have a great weekend. Bye.